it is a pleasure to be one of those future producers of fluorspar, and we are certainly excited by our project, which is the Ashram rare earth element and fluorspar deposit in Canada. In terms of our project, as Stefan mentioned, we just raised just over $5.2 million. 3.2 million was in a hard dollar financing, 2 was in a flow through, which is most eligible for using on-site drilling, environmental work, et cetera, et cetera. And we have more programs underway now than we really have ever had in the better part of the last decade. And so we're very excited about these programs, which include the continued work on our fluorspar byproduct. In terms of the Board of Commerce Resources, just very quickly, the president of Zimtu, David Hodge, is also the CEO of Commerce Resources. We benefit from his many years of experience in the mineral exploration. We also benefit from the experience of our chairman of the board, Dr. Axel Hoppe, and his doctorate in chemistry, and his experience especially in processing tantalum and niobium ores. But as well, I would like to give a shout out to our project manager, Darren Smith, who has done an excellent job on both of our commodities, and his wife, Marae Smith, as she is our social and environmental sustainability manager. She is very tough, but she is very, very good. And because of the work she has done, we have been awarded by the Quebec Mining Association what is called the E3 Plus Award for excellence in terms of our environmental and our social outreach programs. Part of the culmination of that was a letter of intent signed by the dominant social group, which are the Inuit in Nunavik. And these two Inuit corporations signed this letter of intent with us, expressing essentially their interest in the further developments of our asset. In terms of the asset itself, as mentioned, it is in Quebec, but it's in the northern third of Quebec, which is called Nunavik. Nunavik has actually a more attractive jurisdiction, arguably, than the rest of Quebec, in so much as it is under the treaty, which is the James Bay Northern Quebec Agreement. And this is the most codified agreement for advancing, developing, and getting into production a mining project, arguably in North America. In terms of the steps that we need to take to advance our project. And in terms of also of our shareholder list, Zimtu Capital is our largest shareholder. Our largest shareholder was for several years the government of Quebec. They would be our third largest shareholder in total at this point in time. But we definitely benefit from the continued and ongoing interest of the Quebec government, and also their suggestion that the financing of a road in our area may be attractive to them. Now, in terms of the stage of Commerce Resources, as Dave said at the beginning, the 3 companies today you will hear are in varying stages of development. Commerce Resources released a positive preliminary economic assessment in May of 2012, and we have done a significant amount of optimization since that time. In terms of the ashram would be technically called a gargantuan plug, which is, it is a carbonatite that outcrops its surface and then continues down to where it originates from, which is the center of the earth. Commerce Resources has defined a resource, which I'll show in the next slide, and we have drilled down to below 600 meters. And this is essentially consistent mineralization all the way down, excepting for the more valuable, what we call the middle heavy rare earth oxide zone, which lies right at surface and in which we would be mining for at least the first 10 years, if not a little longer. In terms of the resource itself, and for some reason my computer is jamming up, hang on. There we go. As you can see here, we have 1.6 million tons in the measured category, 27.7 million tons in the indicated category, and 219.8 million tons in the inferred category. On the right-hand side, on the top bar graph, you can see the percentage of fluorspar, 7.7, 5.9, 4.5% fluorspar. But in the lower bar graph, you can see the percentage of fluorspar in that metal metal heavy rare earth element oxide zone, which varies between 7% and 8.6%. That in total, considering the collective amount of this resource being approximately 249 million tons at an approximate 7% fluorspar, that is a huge fluorspar deposit. We believe it is the world's second largest fluorspar deposit. And as I said at the beginning, we've really only scratched the surface on this deposit. Since the release of that resource in 2012, we had added another 9,625 meters to the drilling, mostly infill, but also some step-out holes. So we expect a slightly larger resource when the pre-feasibility study is completed and released. In terms of the processing of the Ashram project, it does not get any more standard than this process flow sheet in the rare earth element sector. In terms of when we get to the magnetic separation stage, you take the slurry from the acid leaching and you essentially dump it into this machine that, I don't know, kind of looks like a large blow dryer at a beauty salon, and you flick a switch, and out one side comes the magnetic concentrate, which is the rare earth elements, and out the other side comes the non-magnetic concentrate, which is the fluorspar. That basically means we produce metspar for free. There is no additional cost at the mag-sep part of this process. So we have an ability to produce metspar really at next to zero cost. I mean, of course, you know, we would suggest that the fluorspar needs to bear some of the cost of the previous process flow sheet, but essentially there's no additional cost to produce metspar. In terms of our pilot plant, this is sitting at Ashram Research in Golden, Colorado, which is about a mile away from the original Coors brewery. And standing in the picture in the right-hand corner is Nick Hazen himself, standing next to the vertical flotation column. Ashram Research is really the world leader, at least in the Western world, of mining R&D. The original Molycorp pilot plant was set up at Ashram Research in the 1960s, and it's still set up there. And our pilot plant is there, and it is about to be restarted. Hazen has done all of the upgrading of our acid-grade fluorspar sample in 2020, and we're very happy with the work that he did. In terms of the fluorspar byproduct, the two important points in this slide are that there is no additional cost to recovering the fluorspar, and there's no impact on the rare earth element recovery. Here is the money shot right here. This is a photograph of the acid grade, approximate 98% a fluorite acid grade fluorspar sample that was upgraded and with an almost complete success on the impurity removal from the original sample, which we had produced and news released in February of 2020. This is the sample that we delivered to the industry major as requested, and as you can see on this slide, as they then said, this is a commercially marketable product. So we're very excited by the production of this, and we're very excited about the expected or hoped for next steps with this industry major. In terms of that major, that would be Norfalco Sales, a division of Glencore, and they essentially made their intentions known to us 6 years ago when we reached out to them in terms of us trying to determine where the location of our downstream processing facility would be. They actually have a facility that closed in the last couple of years in New Brunswick, just outside of Belledune, and it's a perfect industrial site for our processing. But when we did a short presentation on the Ashram rare earth element fluorspar deposit at that point, that's when they got excited because of this fluorspar byproduct. Ultimately, just to follow that story along, it doesn't make sense. That area has been shut down by Glencore, the Brunswick smelter, and it makes more sense for us to have our processing downstream in Quebec, where it will most likely be. However, a year after that, that was when Norfalco Sales encouraged us to sign this a binding MOU with them, and we did so, and we are very much looking forward to next steps with them. In terms of our PEA and in terms of these positive economics, let me just mention Fluorspar was not mentioned at all as a byproduct in these economics. So yes, you can guess my excitement about having this fluorspar byproduct included in our next set of economics. And in terms of the process flow sheet, with a 4,000 ton extraction per day and at an approximate 7% fluorspar grading in the deposit, that yields 1.4 million tons of extraction per annum. And the fluorspar component at a 75% recovery would be slightly above 70,000 tons of fluorspar. And even at the metspar price today, you know, use whatever figure you want, $300 a ton, $400 a ton, let's say 300. Well, that's an additional $21 million of profit onto the flow sheet. So yes, we're very excited about this, the presence of the fluorspar and our next set of economics. In summary, let me just say that the Ashram project is located in a top mining jurisdiction globally. We have the right host rock for both rare earth elements and fluorspar. As you will hear, fluorspar deposits are not always carbonatites, but when they are carbonatites, then you have essentially unlimited amounts of resource of the fluorspar as we are in the process of defining. Simple and conventional mineralogy allows us then to use to great effect simple and conventional metallurgy and simple processing. And at the end of the day, it's all about cost. And we would be a low cost producer. We have an excellent distribution in the rare earth elements. The fluorspar byproduct potential is certainly something that we are in the process of proving up, and we look forward to releasing the economics. Any comments or questions you have in the future, you could certainly direct to any on our team, including Herr Justin Schrun, who does investor relations for us and is a very valued team member, and myself or our project manager. In terms of the disclosure notice for the ongoing pre-fees, this needs to be here. And so at this point in time, I would just like to say I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.